with, obviously we are talking about this historic mission Artemis II. And we were just talking with Professor Bhandari and the Canadian astronaut earlier, how significant is a milestone this for humanity? Because earlier, when the Apollo missions were taking place, it was kind of a race. Space was a race. Right now, we are seeing collaboration. We are seeing an international crew. So how do you look at this change that in fact has come in for humanity itself? Because it's a collaboration that we are looking at in this mission as well.
So I would start with going back to 1969 when the first human being landed on the moon. And of course, thereafter, there were a total of 14 Americans who landed there till April 1972 when Apollo 17 went. Well, as you said, those missions were for status. There was a competition in the peak of Cold War, who was better, who goes to the moon first, and of course, America, after Soviet Union having the first Sputnik, America did win the space race after they landed a human being there. But now, more than 50 years later, nearly 60 years, or closer to 60 years, now when we are going to moon, we are going and looking at moon differently. Now human beings are going for planetary exploration, which will go much beyond moon. Moon, as they say, and very rightly, is the gateway to the Brahmand, to the universe. And Artemis II, which very successfully has taken place today, is the first success in the step of human beings now revisiting moon, not only to go there for a stay.
All right, we seem to have lost that connection over there with General Bhatt. We'll try to reconnect with him, but remember, we are talking about this very significant launch that has in fact taken place in Florida. Artemis II mission in fact looks at placing the SLS orbit and SLS rocket and the Orion spacecraft into deep space. Let's in fact now take a look at what happens next, because we have reached a very critical phase in this entire mission. We have in fact reached the higher Earth orbit. So we'll tell you now what happens next, and like we were pointing out to you, this is to infinity and beyond. This is the route that Artemis II, the rocket and Orion spacecraft is in fact taking. So we will take you on day 1. So it's a 10-day mission. On day 1 and 2, they will be spent in high Earth orbit. So this is the high Earth orbit that we are talking about. We have marked that out for you as well. And this is where day 1 and day 2 will in fact be spent. Day 3 and day 4 in fact will be passing behind the moon on free return trajectory. So we will in fact be looking at day 3 and day 4 when we move into the trans-lunar orbit. That's when we will in fact leave the high Earth orbit. We will move it to the trans-lunar object, and then day 5 we will see Orion entering the moon's gravitational pull. So on day 5, that's when Orion will in fact move towards the moon. It will be closer to the moon. It will enter its on gravitational moon in fact, right. So this is where what will happen. So this is number 1. We have number 3 over here. That's when this is happening. Orion is entering the moon's gravitational pull. So this is what is happening next. This will be what we are tracking for you on day 6. When we have over there, day 6, we have the spacecraft reaches the closest approach to the moon around 4,000 to 6,000 miles above the lunar surface. So that's where we will see on day 6. That's when Orion spacecraft will be. It will be closer to the moon on day 6. This will be the closest point to the moon when it approaches there. Now on day 7, which we've marked for you over here, this will be when the spacecraft actually reaches closest approach to the moon as well. So this is where phase, we will see on day 7 the Orion spacecraft will be present. So it's taking a loop around the moon, it will go back. So essentially this is a flyback, fly around the moon when we look at this entire mission. And on day 10 we have Orion separating from service module and splashing down. So this is when the main module where the crew is situated, they will separate from this module and they will in fact make a splashdown over there. So this is the entire sequence of what will happen next, and the splashdown location is off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. So this is where the splashdown will in fact take place. So this is off the coast of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. This is something that we are in fact taking. All right, with that we are in fact slipping into a short commercial.